One that I was sort of anxious to check out was Phantom Blade Zero. This was the game historically that was shown about a year ago. We saw, and it just looked way too good from the initial gameplay perspective. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if that game's real, Kenny. Kenny was super excited, but look how cool it is. Long story short, I was like, all right, I don't know if the actual game is going to be like that. We get to the event and, oh no, it turns out the actual game is kind of like that. I'll give you some impressions as we go through it because we did play Phantom Blade Zero. I played it several times and I got like a playthrough to make it sort of look cool and look good. I think I split the time with this one with myself and Simmons. Kenny's impression was right. The game is indeed real. And from what I know, this is a Beijing developer, initially made mobile games and recently got either some sort of like equity from a big company like a Tencent or something like that. What they did was make a console game out of it. They're like, hey, we're going to turn it into an action game. People will say it's a Souls-like, and I can tell you as we're about to look at the footage, it is not. There is something that is Souls-like about it, but the combat is definitely not Souls-like. So, we skipped the tutorial because we've already done it. I will say, the first thing you're going to notice is that the combat doesn't feel anything like a Souls game. It's much more, quote-unquote, I'd say mashy. And that's not particularly a bad thing. It's more mashy in terms of it wants you to press attacks. It reminds me a lot more of something like a Metal Gear Revengeance, but what I immediately compared it to was Ninja Gaiden. First and foremost, the biggest vibe I got from the game was that, oh, this feels a lot more like a Ninja Gaiden than it does a Souls game, in my personal opinion. There's a weapon switch mechanic and there's a cooldown for it, so you can actively weapon switch mid-combo. Kinda sick. And this is their studio's first, like, big game, from what I understand. Like Dynasty Warriors? No. This is a character action game. So, the Souls-like elements come in the level design. As the director explained to me, the director's a huge fan of Souls games, right? But doesn't particularly love Souls combat. He's much more of a fan of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, of like Devil May Cry and Ninja Gaiden. So there is one thing that he loves about Souls games, and it's the levels. And that's what he said the game will have in terms of being a Souls-like. He wants much more action-oriented combat, but he wants Souls level design. So that's what they're going for. They said it's not like Neo. It is more like shortcut based and more locked doors and things like that, where you have to like traverse and figure out where to go. He's a huge fan of, Souls games levels. So that's sort of where they're going with this. They're trying to do that. And he also gave the comparison to like, Team Ninja efforts in some ways. And he's like, it's very different than that. So just a description of the action. All the action is on the face buttons. So like square is light attack and triangle is heavy attack. And there's a bunch of different attacks that you can do combo-wise in there. There is a stamina gauge. As you can see, it's going down. So to me, this game is a mix of like Sekiro and Ninja Gaiden. That's probably where I'm going to say it's the closest to. More Ninja Gaiden than Sekiro, but it has, actual counters and parries. You know how Sekiro has the moments where they're going to stab you or slash you? It has that. And it's in the form of like a blue flash for your block. You hold down parry, which is with the LB, and you look for the blue flash, and if you time it correctly, there's like just parry timing that'll really deplete the gauge. I missed it right there. And then there's stamina crushes, and you get supers, by the way. I think that might have been a super. Let's find out. No, not yet. I didn't get it. The more you build up, the more you get access to big crazy shit. The game wants you attacking. It wants you engaging the enemy constantly. And then there's red flashes. R1 is dodge, and you can dodge out of the way of things, And if you dodge appropriately, you get a big reward for doing so. So there's that moment, right? And these build meter. See, I just got it. I just got enough meter, now I get the super, which I think was with L2. This is what I mean, it's a little mashy. It wants you hitting a lot of buttons. It really wants you hitting a lot of buttons. And yeah, you can parry projectiles. It's kind of sick. It's kind of sick. Lots of big cinematic fuck you moments, you know? Lots of them. And what game has those big cinematic fuck you moments? Metal Gear Rising. You definitely feel a lot of the Metal Gear Rising influence all over the place here. Are there delay combos? I don't believe there was from the build that we played. I don't believe so. See if I can find a place to put my face. So this was just a boss rush. Unfortunately, there's no levels. There's no actual levels. And again, the performance on this version of the game, this is not the PC version, this is a PlayStation 5 in development build, which is obviously going through some temporal upscaling that's making it look a little fuzzy sometimes. They said they're working it out. That is something that will change with the console version, but this isn't even the PC version. They reassured me the PC version looks much better. It's running on Unreal Engine 5, you know, and it's still ironing out some kinks. Is the character customizable? That I did not ask. Did not ask if there was character customization. Cool ass music. I gave this to Simmons. What happened, Simmons? Huh? What's going on here? What did you press? What's going on here? I was talking to the director, and so this is Simmons had a chance to try out for the first time. I was giving him some tips. So yeah, you have to dodge the red stuff, and you have to parry the blue stuff. No stances. No stances. Weapon switching only. Environmental interaction, though. It seemed like in every fight there was something unique you could do with the environment in some way. What time was the parry window? Pretty easy. This demo, to be honest, was fairly straightforward. The director said that the game is pretty much on normal right now. This is not the hardest difficulty. There will be difficulty options too. To me, my impression of this game is that it was my biggest surprise of the show. It's very fun to play. And it sort of brought me back to like an age of older action games from like the 2010s and shit. I was very happy with it. And I was extremely excited to hear him talk about Soul's level design with more like offensive focused action. Things that aren't about wait and dodge timing, more about like engage the enemy and keep engaging the enemy. All of that stuff sounded extremely cool to me. So here's like the last boss. Yeah, I don't know if it has a thing where like you drop your souls or anything like that. I don't think it does. I do not think it does. I think it's a bit more like straightforward. Crazy environmental stuff that happens with this boss. The parry dances are pretty sick. So I had to let Simmons know that there's all these environmental interaction things here. You can use this to like dodge big attacks that he has on the ground. Cool counter. Cool music. I cannot wait to see the PC version, dude. Holy shit. Oh, God. You can see the upscaling really having a tough time with all the effects and shit. This is why I can't wait for the PC version. So he's got super here. I hope he uses it. And I did say my only gripe is that I wanted to struggle with the bosses a bit more. And he said, don't worry. He's like, we will definitely have other difficulty options at the start. He parries it. So sick looking. So polished. So anyway. That's Phantom Blade Zero. More Ninja Gaiden than Souls, but definitely with some Sekiro influence, and is going to have somewhat Souls level design. More of a focused action game. It's the developer's first big game like this, and it's taken about a couple years to put all this together, and it's going to be coming out relatively soon. I think it comes out this year. Not a Sony game. They wanted to reiterate that. This is being published by themselves. They're releasing the game on Steam, and it's coming out on PlayStation and I think some other consoles at launch, but it's definitely PlayStation and Steam on day one. I'm definitely going to be on the Steam version when this shit comes out. It's not only a boss rush. This was just the demo. The demo is 3 bosses with very little levels, but it's going to be full levels with bosses. You know, the level design of the game is going to resemble that more of a Souls game, but the combat is not. Is much more similar to something like a Devil May Cry, a Ninja Gaiden, you know, or a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. So everything they were saying was getting me really excited. And as I was playing with it, I was like finding new cool things you can do. And you only get access to so much in this build of the game. So I was just like, man, how is this going to expand? To me, this was one of the biggest surprises of the show, of Summer Games Fest. I walked in there, no anticipation that this was going to be ridiculously cool or good. And it was ridiculously cool. And it was really good. I played through the demo like 3 times. I really liked it. And every time I found some new cool thing you can do, some weird interaction. Easily one of my favorite games of the show.